Hi there, I'm Charlie and welcome to day 11 of Vlogmas. Today I will be sharing with you my favorite Christmas films of multiple different genres. I am a huge fan of films and TV, but especially of Christmas films. Of course, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of films that I could happily talk about being Christmas favorites. For this video, I have picked my favorite film from 11 different categories, and some of them have a second place as well. That is a lot of films to get through, so I think we should waste no time in jumping right in. The first category off the rank is animated. So first up, my favorite animated Christmas film is the 2011 Arthur Christmas. And while of course I do generally love all different kinds of Christmas films, I do have a soft spot for an underdog story. But the main reason that I love Arthur Christmas is the gift wrapping elf. There is a gift wrapping elf who is the sidekick in this story, and they are one of my favorite Christmas characters in any production. And I just love them so much. And I quote them every time I wrap gifts. There is a second place in my animated favorites category, which goes to the 1978 featurette film, The Small One. Just in case you don't know, a featurette film is part way between a short film and a feature film in length. This is just a short film I used to watch with my family growing up. It's about a boy and his beloved donkey who is too old to keep working, and the search to find him a new home at the market. A lot of this film has not dated well, but it holds a spot of nostalgia from my childhood, and that's why it's included. Our next category is anti-Christmas. Once again, I do have two films in this category, so we'll jump right into it. My number one anti-Christmas Christmas movie favorite is How the Grinch Stole Christmas, released in 2000, starring Jim Carrey. There are, of course, many Grinch adaptations, and I do enjoy most of them. However, I think we could all agree that that film was iconic and will forever hold a place in many of our hearts, even if they were 3 sizes too small. And coming up as a close second is the 1993 classic, The Nightmare Before Christmas. I could not make a film about favorite Christmas films without mentioning The Nightmare Before Christmas, as it is my Halloween and Christmas joint favorite. I love Tom Burton, I love claymation, and I love a good song. So everything about The Nightmare Before Christmas is right up my alley, and it is unsurprisingly one of my lifelong favorites. The next category is Australian Christmas films. Here's the thing, there are not a lot of Australian Christmas films. I even tried Googling different Australian Christmas films in case I'd forgotten any, and most of the suggestions were American Christmas films starring Australian actors. That's not really what I'm talking about. A standalone in its category, my favorite Australian Christmas film is Bushfire Moon, released in 1987 and also known by the name Miracle Down Under. If you haven't seen this film, and I'm guessing that you haven't, I highly recommend you do. I used to watch this film with my parents when I was really little, and I still think about it to this day. It's set in the Australian outback in 1891. It focuses on a young boy who mistakenly identifies someone as Father Christmas. I won't go too much into the plot or the intricacies of the story, but I will say that there are definitely some heartbreaking moments and some heartwarming ones too. To me, it is a film unlike many others that I've ever seen, so I highly recommend it if you ever get the chance. Next up, we have cult classics. The one film I have selected for this is the 1990 original Home Alone. Now, as you can see here, there is in fact 5 Home Alone films in this franchise, or at least in this box set. That's a lot of variation. I don't know if they actually made more, but I've never seen past film 2. I'm sure you can guess why. But film 1 will forever and always be my favorite childhood die-hard equivalent cult classic. Also, I'm going to take this time to say I haven't actually seen Die Hard, which is why it is not on this list before anyone comes for me. I really love a good ensemble cast movie, and so of course I had to include my favorite ensemble Christmas movie. I have mentioned it in the past, so I'm sure you'll be unsurprised to know it's Love Actually from 2003. I am fully aware that there are problems with this film, and I know it's not everyone's favorite, but I love a good ensemble cast. I love a great British cast. There's just something about it that I really like. No, I don't agree with all of the characters' decisions or behaviors, but I've always liked the film. film. So it's my favorite ensemble Christmas movie. Next up, I have the fantasy category. I know that fantasy seems like a pretty broad category to have, particularly in regards to Christmas films and everything to do with Santa and his workshop, but there are a few that I just really like. So first place in this category is the 1994 Tim Allen film, The Santa Claus. While I have watched and do appreciate the entirety of the film franchise, the first is of course my favorite, and I just really enjoy it. There's really not that much to say about it other than it's fun and it reminds me of my childhood. I'm not sure if everyone will agree with me on this, but my second favorite fantasy Christmas film is the 2005 film adaptation of The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. Whether or not you actually think it counts as a Christmas film, I don't really care, but I was going through all the films on my computer and I was thinking about it and I just really enjoy it. And obviously it's impossible to ignore the Christmas that is present during it, so I think it counts. The next category is Muppet movies. While there have been many different Muppet Christmas films, I have actually only ever seen one, and that's the one I'm going to tell you about. It's A Very Merry Muppet Christmas Movie. This 2003 film is a classic in my eyes. Think It's a Wonderful Life, but Muppets, with a little bit of Moulin Rouge in for good measure. I know that most people will talk about A Muppet's Christmas Tale, but I do think that this one is definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. I know not everyone will agree with me on this next category and whether it should even be included, but my next category up for favorite Christmas films is Netflix originals. I have said before that I am a huge sucker for a Hallmark Christmas movie, and the Netflix original Christmas films have given us a wonderfully intertwined and slightly meta universe in which they explore all of the Hallmark stereotypes, and I really like that. With that said, my favorite Netflix original Christmas film is A Christmas Prince from 2017. I originally watched this because it stars Rose McIver and I really loved her in iZombie, but I fell in love with this story because, as I've mentioned before, it was the first ever time that I came across an ambulatory wheelchair using princess. While I wasn't yet an ambulatory wheelchair user when I was a child, I think having that kind of representation would have been really amazing, and it just makes me really happy. And of course, being a sucker for a Hallmark Christmas film, I love the plot. I know not everyone does, but I certainly do. And coming up as a close second behind is The Princess Switch from 2018. And yes, I did watch this because it stars Vanessa Hudgens, who I originally loved from High School Musical when I was growing up. I really love this movie. I love identity swap films. I love Parent Trap as a kid, the 1963 Hayley Mills version, of course, but I just love that kind of storyline, and I love Vanessa Hudgens, and I love baking, and it's just a whole lot of things that I enjoy in one film. Now, both of these films are the first film in a trilogy, and I do enjoy both trilogies, but the reason that A Christmas Prince has outranked The Princess Switch is, even though I prefer the Princess Switch original film, I prefer the trilogy of A Christmas Prince overall to the trilogy of Princess Switch, which is why A Christmas Prince has won this category. Next up, another massive category in the Christmas genre, rom-coms. Coming in first place, I have the 2006 classic The Holiday. I know I've mentioned this in a tag before, but without question, The Holiday is my favorite Christmas rom-com, hands down. In second place, we have the 2001 film Serendipity. I do really like this movie, even though I only watched it originally because it starred Kate Beckinsale, and I have watched it quite a few times. It's not something that I do automatically think of as a Christmas movie, but it is bookended with Christmas, and it is definitely festive themed, but it does go over longer than just the Christmas period, so that's why I don't always instinctively think of it as a Christmas film and just think of it more as a rom-com, but it's definitely something I really enjoy watching, and I thought it deserved a place on this list. My next category is vintage Christmas films. There are, I know, a huge amount of vintage Christmas films. Unfortunately, I haven't seen very many. I am slowly working my way through a list of older films that I want to watch, but at this point, the oldest and my favorite vintage Christmas film that I have ever seen, the 1946 classic, It's a Wonderful Life. If you haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life, I do highly recommend it, but I do advise caution. There are a lot of heavy themes and parts of it are very confronting. movie. I would recommend looking up the plot and any triggers that may apply to you before watching. Having said that, it is an incredible film and I completely understand why it is such a classic, and it would 100% be remiss to have a list and not mention it. And coming up to our final category for the video, unknowns. Now, I want to just give a disclaimer that I'm not suggesting that nobody has heard of these films. These are just films that I like, that are Christmas themed, that I haven't really heard that many people talk about, and so I thought they might be worth mentioning. The first of which is a film from 2010 called Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. Once again, there is probably a parental advisory warning needed for this film, and it would also potentially fall into the anti-Christmas film category. I do definitely recommend watching it, but maybe have a look into some of the themes and plot points first. For the second place in the unknown category and the final film of the video, we have the 2006 film Unaccompanied Minors. 6 kids stuck in an airport without security at Christmas, getting into all sorts of shenanigans that one could do. It's great fun. That's all I've got to say about it. It's just a lot of fun. It's goofy, it's silly, it's fun. Parts of it are great, parts of it are a little cringy, but it's just a really nice film. And there we have it. That is my collection of some of my favorite Christmas films. Let me know in the comments below whether or not you agree with some of my choices, and let me know your favorite Christmas films. I would love to check them out. I really hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more Vlogmas coming this month. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I can't wait to see you all soon. Bye!